Good morning, it's October 2nd. This is To My Liberal Friends. Well, this week, War Secretary Peter Hegseth made some controversial comments in a meeting before the military leadership. Immediately, Democrats pounced on some of his statements, claiming they are wrong or discriminatory. In his speech, Hegseth said there are thousands of variables in combat, but the leaders can only control training, equipment, and leadership. He's exactly correct. I say this as a veteran, someone that has a basic understanding of what a military unit is designed for and what can be expected if they don't have the proper training, equipment, and leadership. I was particularly enthused to hear him say that physical fitness standards would apply to everyone, from the lowest privates to the highest ranking generals. All military members must meet height and weight standards, and every member of the force at every rank must take a fitness test twice a year. Quoting him, he said, "It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country or the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are." End quote. I agree with the Secretary. I fully support firm, high physical standards as a simple way to ensure that our military members remain ready for the worst-case scenarios. Nobody should feel insulted by this because readiness is one of the primary goals of the military. Allow me to use an example that I have personal knowledge. In 1975, I came off active duty, but had 2 more years of reserve duty. I was attending graduate school in Provo, Utah. I was assigned to the reserve unit in that town. It was a petroleum supply unit. That meant its primary function was to set up a temporary fuel station in a combat arena. The Vietnam War had ended, and a lot of women viewed the reserves as an easy paycheck for 1 weekend a month. About 25% of our unit was made up of women. That summer, we went to Fort Lee, Virginia for our 2-week summer camp. While there, we had to demonstrate our capability to perform our mission. Suffice it to say, we failed. The problem was the large fuel bladders that we had to set up were extremely heavy, and the women in our unit were not strong enough to perform the mission. This is not an indictment of women, it's a statement of fact. There are many jobs in the military that women can perform on an equal basis of men, but in this case, their physical limitation caused major problems. Hegseth addressed this problem in a speech. He said that the new rules for combat roles will require everyone to meet the highest standard, and that standard would apply to both men and women. Believe me, a lot of men are going to fail that test as well. This is not a sexist in any way. In combat, you hold your fellow unit members' lives in your hands, and they hold your life in their hands. Hegseth has long said, "I've had enough of mediocrity in the military." Quoting him, "For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on their gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department." End quote. Well, California Governor Gavin Newsom, who many believe is priming himself to run for the White House in 2028, called out President Trump for being overweight and suggested if fat generals had to go, then Trump should go as well. Okay, it's kind of a humorous statement, but it also be singled out as one of the more inane ones. Trump is not going to be fighting in the trenches. The man is over 70 years old. Those in the military are. At the same meeting, President Trump gave what I would have to call a rambling speech and suggested he would be deploying more military forces, albeit National Guard troops, to quell crime in some of the nation's major cities. Democrats pounced on those comments, and that's more of a political issue than what Hegseth was saying. It's difficult to argue that toughening up physical requirements for the military is somehow a negative thing. Any soldier, whether they be a veteran like me or currently serving, will tell you it is time for this type of action. Basically, what the Secretary was saying is that the military is not some organization where you conduct social experiments. He was getting rid of any DEI offices. No longer would the military be primarily concerned with issues like climate control. That's a job of politicians, not generals. As a veteran of the U.S. Army, I applaud this change in policy. It was long overdue. I agree that even high-ranking officers should be physically fit. If for no other reason, they would be an example to the troops. I remember when I was taking a physical test, and our battalion commander, a colonel, came out and ran the mile with all of us. He beat the majority of those taking the test, and that made a lot of guys want to get better so the old man would not whip them. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.